Well, now we have an idea of why Jurickson Profar had such a great year last year.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast where we talk about all of Major League Baseball. My name is Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they call it these days, and on Instagram. You can follow me. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. But the best way to get a hold of me is right here on YouTube. We're going live today because we got a little bit of breaking news. I want to jump right into it. And by the way, once you're done with this show, please check out Locked On Braves. Jake Mastriani is a terrific host there. He's been on the show before, and he did a great breakdown of the news for the Atlanta Braves and how it's going on. I don't want to say sad news. We've had a lot of sad news this year. Hell, I've been living in Los Angeles, Pasadena, half my city caught on fire. That is sad news. But this is disappointing news. And it stinks because the season's starting and you're hoping that be talking about what's happening on the field. And we're going to be talking about what's happening on the field. A couple of games have already finished for today, including one that made me scratch my head a little bit. And of course, we are going to continue to talk about the bats. But first, let's go to the trivia question. I put it on there for a couple of days to let some people catch up because I did some shows over the weekend. The question I had was, who was the first player to make $100,000 per season? And I got a bunch of guesses. Scott Horstmeyer says, I think the first $100,000 player was Pete Rose. Nope, that's a bad bet. You bet a bad bet right there. That was a Pete Rose level bet. David Berman says, wild guess, the first 100K player, the Say Pay Kid. Well, I like what you did there, but you also got it wrong. Robert Lewis got it correct. Hank Greenberg, the superstar for the Detroit Tigers, one of the great home run hitters of his time, and one who came very, very close to breaking Babe Ruth's single season home run record, was the first one to make six figures as a Major League Baseball player. So there you go. You got it correct, Robert Lewis. I have no idea if you're related to Robert Louis Stevenson. Why would you be? All right, let's go through the terrible news today that is just a real kick to the fruit stand to the Atlanta Braves. Jurickson Profar, it was announced today, has been suspended 80 games for testing positive for a PED. And what was the drug? It's funny. I'm 52, and I am now becoming that guy who has a bunch of prescriptions along my in my bathroom along the windowsill there. And I'm going, when the hell did I become that guy? And someone asked me a question about a piece of, one of my medications, one of my prescriptions that I take. And said, what's the name of it? I said, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you if I looked at it. I can't pronounce these things. Chorionic gonadotrophin, or HCG. HCG, there you go. And he did that and is now suspended. And he is going to be out for, probably the next 80 games. So it's going to be the next few months. An 80-game suspension, you get whacked, you lose about half the season. And we're about, 3 or 4 games into the season right now. So it's going to be right around the midpoint of the year. Profar could come back. But if Atlanta, a team that I picked to go to the playoffs, if they do indeed go to the playoffs, Profar is not eligible. The PED suspensions, which used to be you had the right, I will not do PEDs 50 times on a blackboard and have a little hangdog face. It now has some teeth to it. And Profar gave the great, I didn't knowingly take it. I had a drink over here, and I guess someone must have dumped some PEDs into it. I was over at, I don't know, Panda Express, and apparently they sprinkle PEDs. I, there is no excuse for being popped for PEDs these days. There just isn't. And you get to the point where you're like, you know what your body can do. You know your body is your moneymaker. You have to know what's going into your body 24/7. You can't be like Sully, your pal Sully here, where I have my prescriptions up there. I don't know. They could be Tic Tacs for all I know. It could absolutely be a Tic Tac. But you know what? Fact of the matter is, he got pegged for it, and this is putting the Braves in a little bit of a bind. Now, Profar, it's the sort of, you take a look at the numbers, and it shouldn't be a complete surprise. Profar was one of the top prospects in the game. A lot of injuries. Had a couple okay seasons with Texas and with Oakland in 2019. But he didn't really live up to his star quality. And then suddenly he won. He played 158 games, hit his 24 home runs. His OPS shot, he had a career OPS of 725, suddenly had an OPS of 839. Had power, had speed, stayed on the field, and made the All-Star team. And then mysteriously, the Padres didn't seem to spend that much energy to bring him back. And the Braves came around and offered him a deal, and with said deal, he wound up. It was like I think it was a 3-year deal. I think. Yeah, it was a 3-year deal with the Braves for 42 million tomatoes. And then less than a week into the season, pow. Now, the Braves have had issues with losing players down the stretch before. Lest we forget, in 2021, they lost their whole damn, Jonathan Schnankup, am I pronouncing it correctly? Shankup. That's right. 3 years, $43 million, which is more than I make as a public school teacher. And I have no problem with that because I can't hit the curveball. But the Braves, of course, lost Ronald Acuna Jr. and Marcelo Ozuna. They lost their entire starting outfield going into the stretch run in 2021, and they had a losing record. They wound up piecemealing together an outfield and winning a World Series title for their troubles. Right now, the Atlanta Braves do not have, they lost Jorge Soler. They traded him to the Angels. Ronald Acuna Jr., he tore his ACL last year, and he is not back yet. And so they're going to have to do something about their big acquisition being gone. And I can't help but wonder if they read the writing on the wall. I have a hard time believing that organizations don't know what their players are ingesting. Maybe I don't know, maybe they do keep it from them. But the fact that the Padres said, like, yeah, we're going to let you scram. We're going to let you scram. Bye. Toodles. And he signs with Atlanta. And then right towards the end of spring training, the Braves made a pair of moves here. They brought in Alex Verdugo for, I think, about what I make teaching at Pasadena. And they acquired Stuart Fairchild, who is a right-handed hitter, definitely a platoon player, and Verdugo, left-handed hitter, definitely a platoon player. And it seems strange that those moves were made just as spring training was wrapping up. They're acquiring basically a platoon in the outfield, but why would they need that if they have Jurickson Profar? Oh, that's why. I have no evidence. This is not a conspiracy theory. If they knew something, this is the smart thing to do. To say, do you know what? Let's get contingency plan in, and that seems to be exactly what they did. They brought in Fairchild. They acquired for virtually nothing. I think it was cash consideration from Cincinnati, and Alex Verdugo, who is a very good defensive left fielder, is adequate as a left-handed bat. Seems to be one of the 4 dumbest people in baseball in terms of his baseball smarts. But it just, maybe that's because I saw some of his worst moments while playing for the Red Sox. And of course, everyone remembers he gave the old big swing and a miss to end the World Series last year. but he's not a terrible player. And Stuart Fairchild is an adequate player. And it's something that I've said, and the Braves have shown us this is the way to go. If you have a hole, fill that hole with major leaguers. And that seems to be exactly what they're going to do. And if Acuna can come back, and eventually Profar will probably come back and he'll get they'll boo the snot out of him. But there you go. I have a weird feeling about PEDs. If these are the rules of the game. And if you test positive, these are the collectively bargained for rules. And he violated the rules. And so I have no problem with the suspension. I totally understand why someone would take PEDs. Look, I work hard on this podcast. I try to make this as good as I can. And some of you seem to like what I'm doing. You know, Riley, who's listening to me right now, says, I'm a saint. Well, I don't know about that, but I try my best. I absolutely try my best. And I have a nice little audience here, but Joe Rogan is not exactly shaking in his boots when he thinks about me. But if you said to me, hey, Sully, here's a concoction here. Take this concoction and you will be able to do the exact same show you're doing, but you'll have Joe Rogan's audience. It's illegal, but you'll have his audience and you'll have all that. Would I take it? I can't look you in the eye and say no. I can't. And you can't look me in the eye and say you wouldn't do that to have the biggest audience, and all of a sudden I have enough money to get a great big house and take care of my family and do all this other stuff all through podcasting. I don't know if you would take it. I know Jonathan Shencup says take it, but I might get popped. That's the risk. It's not the Wild West. I have said on the show before, I would like to adjust our attitude to PEDs and have it be something that we treat as something medical. If you're using God knows what, the Flintstones chewables that he just used, I don't know what it's called. He had the Bam Bam. And if he takes that and that helps him, it helps him stay on the field, helps him stay healthy, and we have it administered by a physician instead of in secret, then I think that would help. I think baseball is better when your best players are on the field and healthy. But this is like, by not having it be supervised and with a medical professional doing it, is kind of like if you got a Tommy John surgery, secretly, or in that weird surgical place where the Joker had the work done on him back in the Jack Nicholson version of the Joker, the Michael Keaton Batman. These are the tools I have to work with. That's as deep as a cut as I'm going to get today. For those of you who know the movie, know what I'm talking about. But no, you go to the freaking doctor. So why can't they have going to a doctor to take care of getting the players healthy and on the field? I don't understand that. Maybe that's the route we have to go. And it will take some of the stigma off of this and have it done properly. The way it's done, the reason why it's suspension and being illegal is that you don't want it to be the Wild West. We don't want to have suddenly people having, going to the bathroom stall and having A-Rod's cousin put a needle in your ass, and suddenly you're hitting more homers than Henry Aaron. But if you can use it intelligently and keep the best players on the field, Jacob deGrom pitched the other day. It was the first time he pitched 5 innings in like a year and a half. Baseball is better when Jacob deGrom's on the field. Baseball is better when Mike Trout's on the field. Baseball is better when Ronald Acuna Jr. is on the field. So let's do what we can to keep him on the field. So we're going to see what happens with that, and hopefully, hopefully eventually we will have a different point of view of how we deal with our PEDs. But those are the rules right now. By the way, if you want a natural way to have a really, really good protein punch, are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Well, here's my suggestion. Crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Now, these are my personal favorite right there. You see, that's the roasted and salted pistachio. They are so great. It's a perfect grab and go snack for busy days, days I'm teaching, days I'm podcasting. But you know what? They're fabulous. They got a complete protein providing all 9 essential amino acids. But you know what? Some people want them in the shell. They've got that option as well. Like these little green wonders, they pack a protein punch. No shell wonder pistachio, that's the grab and go ease. And no matter what, this is the way to go. Get snackin and get crackin with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. You know, I talked about how I want our players to be on the field more, and I also would like to see our pitchers. I've talked about this a long time. I'd like to see stretching our pitchers out a little bit. I'd like to be able to see our pitchers go, if they're pitching well, pitch 5 or 6 innings, go 6 or 7 innings if you can. It means you're not relying on your bullpen. It means the bullpen isn't, dragging the team into the ground here. Which brings us to the game that between the Chicago White Sox and the Minnesota Twins. Martin Perez. You remember Martin Perez? Martin Perez is a nice veteran pitcher who's been around since 2012. He's checked a lot of things off his bucket list. This is his 13th season. Actually, it's his 14th season in the major leagues. He's mainly pitched with the Texas Rangers, but he's bounced around a little bit. Twins, Red Sox, Pirates. He pitched for the Padres last year. And he has a World Series ring for his trouble. He was part of the 2023 Texas Rangers. And seems like a good guy, seems like a good teammate. Was a member of the 2022 All-Star team with the Texas Rangers. He's done a little bit of everything. The one thing he hasn't done is throw a no-hitter in the major leagues. And so today, in a game between the Twins and the White Sox, he had 6 innings of no-hit ball through, and which he had no hits, and I don't think he had he had 3 walks. 3 walks, and he struck out 9 Twins along the way. And he had thrown, at that point, 93 pitches. And also at that point, the White Sox were blowing the doors off the dump. They were winning 9-0. 9-0. This is the White Sox are the one team that I said had absolutely no chance of making it to the I have the wrong background. That had absolutely no chance of making it to the postseason. And they took a 3-0 lead after 1. They're up 7-0 after 2, 9-0 after 3. And basically this game was on cruise control. It was a blowout. And as I said, 9-0, that's the official score of a forfeit. If the Twins just stayed in their hotel in Chicago and didn't show up and forfeited the game, it would have officially been listed as the White Sox winning 9-0. And that's exactly the final score. The Twins should have stayed in bed. And the White Sox fans who were there saw the 10,000 some odd who were there, who saw, this is 10,000 showed up on a Monday afternoon to see the team that, lost 121 games. Was that the final they lost this year? Something like that. I know it was a lot. And now they've gone, they've split their first 4 games, and their pitching has been pretty darn good. And so here you have Martin Perez throwing a no-hitter after 6 innings. The game is set. This game is toast at this point. And he hasn't even hit 100 pitches. So naturally, they take him out. And I want someone to tell me why. I have no problem with a combined no-hitter. By the way, this wasn't a combined no-hitter. The pitcher who came in to relieve him, Mike Vasil, let up a hit with 2 outs in the 7th inning. And then he pitched the 8th, and I thought, well, okay, they're going to let him have a save, one of those 3-inning saves. But no, they didn't even do that. It just became let's bring in the relievers. I mean, is it that a team will lose a draft pick if a pitcher goes into the 7th? Not every pitch is made equally. Not every inning is made equally. When you're winning 9-0 and the Twins look absolutely dead from the neck up, they've dropped their first 4 games. They've looked awful. What's the problem? What is the downside of having Perez out there to attempt to complete the no-hitter, to bring him out in the 7th? It's not going to be stressful innings. It's not like the tying run is at the plate. Have him go out. He obviously has their number. And if if he lets up a hit or two, okay, I could see that. It's his first start of the year. But it's also not like he's coming off a Tommy John surgery. It's also not like he's someone who's like, oh man, he's going to break down. He threw 135 innings last year in 26 starts. The year before, threw 141. The year before that, he was a workhorse at 196 in the 3rd innings. This is a chance for him to throw his no-hitter. He's going through 2/3 of the way there. And you don't at least give him a shot? This is a White Sox team that was coming off the worst year, at least since expansion, at least since my lifetime, had the worst win-loss record. And I have to say that because there are teams in the 154 game schedule that may have lost as many games if they had the chance. But certainly in the era of expansion, no team has had a worse record than last year's White Sox team. There's a lot of reasons to be pessimistic about the White Sox, and to come out and have a super great moment right at the beginning of the year, at least to say fans, hey, we're not getting our butts kicked. We threw a no-hitter. At least go for that. And have Martin Perez be, hey, we're going to, every 5 games, we're going to hand the ball to someone who's a reliable veteran, all-star World Series champion who just threw a no-hitter. Or if nothing else, you have one good memory for this year after a year of garbage. Give your fans one good memory. Hey, the White Sox are probably going to lose 100 games this year. But remember the Perez no-hitter? That was pretty cool, wasn't it? At what point do you just say, let him try? This is an entertainment medium, remember? This is entertainment. No-hitters are entertaining. What the hell is going on? Why would you pull him at that point? Again, I can't stress this enough. If he let up a hit or two and say, no, you know what? It's first start of the year. We're going to give some people some work. Fine. But you had a chance to give your fans the big highlight of the year so far. And maybe the lone highlight you have this year, because this team ain't going to do piddly poo this year. But who knows? At this point of the year, when you go like, hey, do you know what? We're split the first 4 games. They weren't splitting 4 games much last year. Yeah, it's more entertaining. I was there to see the no-hitter. 10,000 people were at the ballpark. If he threw the no-hitter, probably 40,000 people were claiming they were there. But nope, got to take him out. He doesn't even hit 100 pitches. Got to take him out. This isn't about, in my day, Bob Gibson did this and this. I get it. I understand. But the whole parade of reliever things, I'm sorry, it's getting to be a virus. Did you ever look at your bank account and wonder, hey, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you can stop just managing your money. You can start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized how many subscriptions I had and how much money I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and I save more. And instead of juggling multiple apps, I can use Monarch to check my finances, track spending, and even plan for long-term goals. Managing my money with my partner, it's smoother than ever. You can track with personal accounts, shared accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. We're going to wrap up some things here. By the way, I just want to bring this topic up. Useless Trucker, who's an everyday Sully listener, says, "Do you think the Yankees have an unfair home run capability with torpedo bats, since they now have those torpedo bats?" No, I do not. Do you know why? Because anyone can buy one. If they are legal, and evidently they are, then the creator of these bats just had the greatest advertisement in the world for them. Keep on buying them. If you can't use PEDs, do you know what? Buy them bats. Buy them bats. And by the way, apparently it wasn't just the Yankees who could tee off on the Brewers pitching. The Royals in the home opener for the Brewers. What a bad home opener. 11-1 final. 11-1. At one point it was 11-0, and then they cut it to 1. 11-1. Jonathan India looked really great. 3 hits. Salvador Perez got his first home run of the year. Wow, this is not how you want to start the season if you're the Milwaukee Brewers. Just looking dreadful. This is how you want to start the season if you're the Philadelphia Phillies, by the way. Another come from behind win. They were losing 1-0 to the Rocks in the 7th inning. And then lo and behold, the bats woke up. And Armando Sosa got a double, making it 2-1. Then Schwarber homer to make it 4-1. Then Max Kepler homer to make it 5-1. Then Castellanos homer to make it 6-1. And suddenly that 1-0 game going into the bottom of the 7th was a 6-1 game victory for Philadelphia. That's one of the reasons why I picked him to win the World Series. I think they're going to win a bunch of games like that. I'm going to make a modest proposal for the struggles of Rafael Devers. I really thought he was going to break out today. I thought he had those rough first few games in Texas. I thought it was going to be like, okay, let's just you start off the season rough. Let's just move on. He walked twice, so at least not every at bat was a dud. But he struck out 3 more times, and I have the same batting average as him, which is 0. And you just got the sense that he's just going to keep swinging and missing and swinging and missing. Once again, leaving a runner in scoring position with 2 outs. Can I make this suggestion just for a game? Maybe this will kickstart something. Maybe, just maybe, have him start third for a game. Have Bregman start second. Maybe if Campbell be the DH. Campbell's doing a great job there. But just, for one game, just kickstart him. Maybe just sort of get the rhythm. Maybe he needs that rhythm of being being there. Not everyone could be the DH. Not everyone likes being the DH. And so far I granted it's only a 5-game sample size, but file this under yikes. He's hitting like a pitcher. And he's the freaking DH. It's his one job. So maybe put him back at third long enough to get started, to kickstart what's going on there, because this is getting a little painful. I wasn't intending to do this show, by the way. Just let the record show I was going to wait until after the first game of the A's, but I wanted to jump in for Jurickson Profar. So I'm going to have tomorrow's show. We're going to talk a little bit about the first game in Sacramento, which as of been played. All right, and and let's wrap up here with talking about the new trivia question. The new trivia question is this: who is the first player suspended for PEDs after testing began in the mid-2000s? Their PEDs were illegal, but they weren't testing for them, so there was no teeth. When they finally added teeth after the congressional hearing, remember when we worried about baseball during congressional hearings? That seemed like a more innocent time. Who was the first person suspended for PED use? That is a trivia question. Put it right down here on YouTube and follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it these days. Same handle for Instagram. I'm your pal Sully at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, but leave the comments right here on YouTube. Talking about Jurickson Profar. And wow, we need to really evolve how we deal with performance enhancing drugs. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.